This is the 55th episode of the Effective Executive podcast and YouTube channel. And this week I wanted to cover go big or go home. And, I've been reflecting on some conversations that I've been having with different executives over the years. And, I have my three target audiences that I'm looking at, and they are veteran executives, new executives, either new to the position or new to an organization, and aspiring executives. And they all three have different issues associated with either wanting to become an executive or being an executive. And especially using the lens of thinking big. And what I find is veteran executives tend to maybe be closer to retirement. They don't really want to make a lot of waves. They would rather just kind of run out the clock. And I'm seeing that. And that's unfortunate because this is my age group and we're supposed to be kind of the leaders of what's going on in organizations. And you have the new executive, either new to the organization or new to the position. And they have a tendency to have a lot of ideas of things that they want to do, whether they're new to that company where they want to go in and maybe most likely were successful in the organization that they came from, and they want to go out and they want to make a lot of changes and have an impact and do those types of things. Or even if you're just new to the position, you have a lot of ideas. You've been waiting to get into a position where you would be able to implement your ideas. And then the third group are the aspiring executives. Usually are still they're not broad thinkers yet. They're very skilled at something that they do. They've got a lot of characteristics, both soft and hard, which I've mentioned. I focus more on kind of the hard skills, the how do you grow a company, those types of things. And their tendency is they can't see the bigger picture because they're very good at what they do. Their piece, their skill set, have a lot of the characteristics of the soft skills, but they still lack some of the hard skills. But they still have ideas, but they're usually limited because they can't see the entire system from where they're presently located. So all those three areas have different issues associated with larger thinking in the organization. And there's two things that I wanted to cover this week for all three of these different types of executives, veteran, new, and aspiring. And that is, first of all, you got to be bigger than just your department. So this is more focused on aspiring and new executives, which is you've got to be able to develop the skill to see how your whole organization interacts, not just the piece that you're in or the department that you're over. You need to be able to see how all the pieces fit together and what the impacts are going to be when you make changes in a department or a team makes a change or whatever. Because not all change is improvement, right? You could think you're doing something very good, for instance, let's say sales, and you want to go out and sell as much as you can, but if operations can't keep up with what you have, your reputation suffers and customers get upset and things of that sort. So you got to be able to see these types of things. And the best way I found is to be able to study your organization, look at your organization as a system, and develop those synthetic thinking skills that are needed by executives in order to be effective. Otherwise, you wind up being very efficient, but not very effective. Excuse me. So that's the first thing is you got to, think bigger than just your department or area. The second thing is big innovation drives a lot of very excellent things. So, for instance, when I go to Disney World and I go to Test Track, you see the concept cars, and it kind of gets me a little excited as a customer, as an employee, that, oh man, look at these big ideas that people have out there, that get people kind of thinking about what else can we do, or when are these types of things, are we going to start to see these types of concept cars come out, if you're in the car world. Because what it does is, instead of worrying about all the things that are going wrong in the organization, you've got something to focus on much bigger in the organization. And this kind of quells rumors and things of that sort that go on in organizations by having these big things going on within the organization. Now, this is, go big or go home. In essence, is it's got to be something excited, get people excited enough. And if you're a veteran executive, what I see today is veteran executives steering away from these things because they don't want to rock the boat, right? They want to keep things kind of, but there's ways to go around this if you're enabling people with ideas and facilitating moving that forward and doing it on a small scale. You aren't risking anything. In essence, and you're getting people excited about being a part of your organization. If you're a new executive, again, you may have your own ideas, but so do the people that you're maybe newly appointed as their leader. They have lots of ideas, and to begin with your idea is always a bad place to begin. And I've experienced that both in being an executive and in consulting. And the worst thing you could do is trying to implement your ideas first without first listening to the people that you are newly over, in an organization. So whether that's a new organization or your new position in that organization, it becomes very important to first listen to what all of the ideas are. And they might find something that's much better than some of the ideas that you had. And often I find that to be true because people, if you're in a new organization, these people are more experienced in the system that they're in. And again, you need to learn the entire system, especially if you're new to an organization and how it operates, rather than, trying to implement a power move, in essence. Will be perceived that way, even if it's not. Because you're the smart one and you're going to implement some type of innovation that you thought was best for that particular organization. Always be listening from that standpoint if you're new. From an aspiring standpoint, it's beginning to understand the concepts of starting small, and 95+% of the time you can always start any innovation, no matter how big it is, on a small scale and grow it from there. Almost always has the opportunity for you to begin that way. And so there's a little something for veteran, new, and aspiring executives to think about, with regards to go big or go home. And in many cases, especially with veteran executives, as I mentioned, they're not going big. They're maybe it is time for you to go home then, time for you to retire and move on. But there's a whole group of people in your organization as an executive that have ideas of what things can propel an organization forward. And it's learning how to vet those ideas and move them forward on a small scale. So again, why is this important? Well, employees and customers, they get excited about what's going on. And again, I always start with the synthetic thinking skills, not just for yourself as an executive. And I think you need to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be very efficient, but not very effective. And that's, a lot of what, being an effective executive is about. There's a difference between being efficient, doing things right, versus doing the right things. And you want to be the executive that's doing the right things. But by virtue of employees and customers get excited about new things are going on in an organization, the synthetic thinking skills are going to help you develop better ideas because it understands how the whole system operates. big innovation or big ideas, like the concept cars, at Test Track at Disney World. Those are things that get people excited and engaged in an organization, and it makes people want to be part of something that's worthy within an organization. So that's what I wanted to cover this week. I will catch you next week.